Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kid Lee, and this is episode 54 of the TOR Report. In this week's news, the devs have announced a bunch of Commendation changes that will take place as part of Update 3.2. All class missions that previously rewarded 1 or 2 basic comms will now reward 8 basic commendations. The Group Finder Story Mode flashpoints levels 10 to 54 will now award 20 basic comms. The Group Finder Tactical flashpoints 10 to 54 will also be 20 basic comms. Levels 55 through 59 will be 30 basic comms. And then level 60 will be 14 elite commendations. For the Group Finder Hard Mode flashpoints of 50 to 55, they will now award 40 basic commendations. 55 to 59 will also be 40 basic comm. And then level 60s will now be 6 ultimate commendations. The Group Finder Story Mode operations level 50 will be 16 ultimate commendations, as will levels 55 and 60. So 16 ultimate comms for all 3 ranks. Then moving on to the weeklies. For the tactical flashpoints, they will now grant 20 elite and 10 ultimate, and then the galactic conflicts will now grant 20 elite and 14 ultimate comms. The operation bosses that are associated with the weekly missions have also had their commendations updated. For the level 50 operations, the 8-player story mode bosses will now drop 4 basic comms. The 8-player hard mode will drop 6 basic, 4 elite. The 8-player nightmare will drop 6 basic, 4 elite. The 16-player story will be 4 basic, 2 elite. 16 hard is 8 basic, 6 elite. And then the 16-player nightmare will be 8 basic and 6 elite. And then moving on to the 55 operations, Terror from Beyond, Scum and Villainy 16 will drop 1 ultimate commendation, and then the 16-player hard mode will be 2 ultimate comm, and then 16-player nightmare will be 3 ultimate comm. So many numbers, so little time. We're almost done, guys. Okay, Dread Fortress, Dread Palace, 16-player story mode bosses, now 1 ultimate comm. 16-player hard mode bosses will then drop 2 ultimate comm. Moving on to level 60 operations. The 8-player story mode bosses now drop 8 elite comms. The 8-player hard mode bosses will be 10 elite comms. 16 story is 10 elite. 16 hard is 12 elite comm. And then finally, wrapping up the numbers portion of the show, weekly missions, level 50, Operation Weekly missions will now grant 12 elite and 6 ultimate comms. Taboro's Courtyard Weekly is going to now grant 12 elite, 6 ultimate. And then the level 55 Operation Weekly is going to be 18 elite, 10 ultimate. And then finally, the 60 Operation Weekly is going to be 24 elite and 14 ultimate. There are some changes to the quick travel cooldowns in the works. The cooldown on quick travel ability has been reduced for subscribers and preferred players. The cooldown is now 6 minutes, and for free-to-play players, the cooldown is going to be 26 minutes. At Legacy level 1, 2, and 3, the unlocks now reduce the cooldown of the quick travel ability by 2 additional minutes each, going down to 0. The cooldown on Emergency Fleet Pass. This ability has been reduced for subscribers and preferred. The cooldown is now 90 minutes. And for free-to-play, it is going to be 180 minutes. And then the Legacy Fleet Pass, Uno, Dos, and Treso, unlocks now reduce cooldown of the Emergency Fleet Pass by an additional 30 minutes, each tick down to 0. And there we go. That's the numbers portion of the show is done. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move on to some dev chat. The one notable dev chat this week is related to how the melee classes are having a rough time with many of the new flashpoints and operation bosses. The devs replied by saying, Many of you are concerned about melee viability against bosses in various flashpoints and operations. We have all heard your cries, and I know that our encounter designers are actively assessing improvement strategies. That aside, I want to clarify that we, the combat team, will not reconfigure an entire class or discipline around a single boss encounter. While we continually work to improve both the PvE and PvP experiences, we cannot allow a single event or boss to call us to reconstruct our design choices. End quote. So it's definitely a hot topic, that I will say. I can tell you that in my raid team, we don't have anybody running melee right now because it's too costly when you can have a DPS or a ranged DPS which can do a better job. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Let's move on to some Q&A. If you have questions for our future shows, send questions to kidlee@asf@gmail.com or send me a message on Twitter or YouTube. The first question of the day comes in from Captain Smash. They ask, is there a way to get rid of the side quick bars? Yes, there is. So you can see I have them currently on the left and the right. And you'll want to get into the interface designer. There's a couple ways to do it. One way is simply hitting escape and going into interface editor. Or down by your character avatar, there's a little plus down here. You can click on that and get into the interface editor here as well. So once you get into this, if you've never seen this before, it basically brings up all of the individual elements for the interface. And you're able to interact with these, move them, change them, do whatever you want with them. So for this question, we're talking about the quick bars. So over here you see quick bar number 3, and you see when I clicked on it, it actually went yellow. And then over here we've got quick bar, what is this, quick bar 4. But what you'll want to do is go ahead and click on whichever quick bar you want to mess with, and the options here in the center will change. And what you're looking for is this enable button. Enable, disable, and you'll see as I'm clicking it, it's actually going red. So anything that you see in here that is red, it basically means that it's disabled. So that will go ahead and answer that question. And the second question is actually very, very similar. It's from Sandrick X. They ask, is there a way to shrink one of the quick bars? And that is a yes as well. So for this one, let's go ahead and mess with this one right here at the very bottom. It's quick bar 5. You see I actually have it down to only 3 boxes only. But you've got a couple different options here. You've actually got a scale. Right now I have it on 1, but you can see as I lower it and raise it how it's getting bigger and smaller. So that's one option. You also have your alpha, which basically means how invisible or not invisible the interface itself is going to be. And then right here you've actually got your number of slots and then slots per row. So here if I start cranking this up, you see how it starts growing down there. So let's go ahead and take it back to, actually let's take it back up to 12 here for a second. And then slots per row, it's set to 5 right now, but if you want to, you can make it, actually grab the thing here, might help. You can make it bigger or smaller like this, as you can see there. But yeah, just pretty much have to get into the interface editor and mess around with it. And then the third and final question comes in from Jedi Cat. They ask, is there a way to delete or remove a stronghold? I only want to use strongholds that both sides have access to without having to pay that fee. Yes, you can. So if you go ahead and get into your strongholds, you'll see a screen very similar to this. And there actually is an X up in the corner here. You can click on this X and it'll actually ask you if you want to deactivate one of your strongholds. So that's basically how you do that. You can just deactivate and reactivate if you decide to bring it back later. Any undesired strongholds, so to speak. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That will go ahead and do it for this week's episode of the TOR Report. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you all so much for watching. And with that being said, everybody keep playing and have fun.